Based on a true story, the movie is set in rural 1920s Virginia. The young Desmond Doss is fighting around with his little brother Harold. While their mother asks them to stop, their father Tom says to just let them be, saves him from needing to whip them both as he will only need to whip the one that wins. As the fight becomes more intense, Desmond picks up a brick and hits his brother with it, causing him to drop to the ground. Having nearly killed his little brother, the young boy looks at the painting in their house which contains God's commandment regarding thou shalt not kill. Years later, while Desmond is cleaning a window in a church, he hears a man cry in pain. When he goes to check, he sees someone is pressed under a car. After the people around are able to pull the man out, Desmond says there is no time to wait for the ambulance and takes an injured man to the hospital himself. There, he meets a nurse called Dorothy Shuda, and is attracted to her. Desmond approaches her and finds out that she is a nurse responsible for taking blood from donors. Desmond volunteers to give his blood and gets to know her more. She comes back tomorrow to ask her out and she accepts, and they go to watch a movie together. Back at home, the room becomes silent as Harold comes in wearing an army uniform. Their mother is vexed about why Harold didn't say anything about it, and their father, who still has trauma after coming back from his service in a war, recites what happened to his friend and how it is a nightmare in the warfare, before casting out Harold of his sight. Seeing his father in a graveyard, Desmond's father tells him that those 3 gravestones are his friends, whom he grew up with since his childhood, and how he doesn't want to visit his children's graves. In that instant, Desmond reveals that he has already signed up to serve, telling he aims to become a combat medic. Feeling frustrated and hopeless, his father tells him that he will not survive. Before leaving, Dorothy gives Desmond a Bible, with a picture of her inside. Arriving at the training ground, Desmond is welcomed by the people inside the camp. After the short introduction, Sergeant Howell, who is in charge of them, makes an entrance and gets to know the people he will lead. He notices Desmond, when he grins at the joke the sergeant makes, asking his name and teasing him for how skinny he is. The sergeant then calls them all outside, and teaches them how to tie a bowline knot, which is used to rappel down from a height. Checking how the soldiers are doing, he mocks Desmond for making such an obvious mistake that the rope Desmond tied has 2 holes. Continuing to physical training, Desmond excels quite well. But when it comes to shooting practice, everyone is asked to pick a rifle. Sergeant Howell is curious when he sees there is 1 rifle left, and notices that Desmond does not pick up any rifle. When asked, Desmond answers that he is told that he doesn't have to carry a weapon when he enlisted. Inside the captain's office, Desmond explains that there might have been a misunderstanding since he wanted to enlist as a medic. During their conversation, he also mentions that he doesn't work on Saturday because he wants to pray on that day. Amazed by his conditions, Captain Glover puts Desmond in a psychiatric discharge. Hearing this, some people inside the camp start to bully him. Captain Glover's attempt to discharge Desmond for psychiatric reasons is overruled, as Desmond's religious beliefs do not constitute mental illness. The captain tells Howell to put Desmond through grueling labor, intending to get Desmond to leave of his own accord. One night, his fellow soldiers are beating him up. Despite that, he refuses to identify his attackers when Sergeant Howell asks who did it. Desmond's unit completes the basic training and is released on leave, during which Desmond intends to marry Dorothy. But he is not granted the leave as he never completes the firearm training, and the issue escalates when Desmond refuses to obey a direct order of carrying a weapon in front of his commander, in which the commander charges Desmond to a martial court and puts him in prison for the time being. Captain Glover and Dorothy visit Desmond in jail and try to convince him to plead guilty so that he can be released without charge, but Desmond refuses to compromise his beliefs. At his trial, Desmond pleads not guilty. Desmond states that when Pearl Harbor was attacked, he took it personally, and says he cannot stay safely at home doing nothing while everybody else is sacrificing their lives. That he wants to serve on the field as a medic, with no less danger than the other guys. But before he is sentenced, his father barges into the tribunal with a letter from a former commanding officer stating that his son's pacifism is protected by an act of Congress. The charges against Desmond are dropped, and he is finally allowed to join the battlefield without a single weapon to protect himself. Marching to the field, they see trucks of bodies and injured soldiers riding back from the battlefield. Arriving at the Hacksaw Ridge, Captain Glover says if they could secure this place, they might be able to get to Okinawa and take Japan. The soldiers then climb to the ridge, and as they move forward, the battle begins. Shootings and bombings are everywhere. While the battle resumes, Desmond treats his injured comrades one by one. When it gets dark, the soldiers find pits and holes for them to rest. The next morning, the Japanese launch a massive counterattack and drive the Americans off the ridge and are successful to do so. The Americans fall back down from the ridge, but Desmond stays at the ridge. He hears the cries of dying soldiers and returns to save them, carrying the wounded to the cliff's edge and belaying them down by rope, each time praying to God to enable him to save one more. The arrival of dozens of wounded comes as a shock to the rest of the unit below, and Desmond does this until night. When day breaks, Desmond reunites with Howell, who injures his leg and is pinned inside a pit with another soldier. Desmond rescues the soldier and comes back for Howell, puts him on a fabric and pulls him back. While two are being chased by the Japanese, they reach the end of the ridge. Howell slides his body down the ridge and Desmond holds the rope to slow down the fall. After Howell reaches the bottom, Desmond ties himself with another soldier's body and jumps down. The Japanese chase Desmond to the edge of the ridge, but his friends from below help him and shoot them down. Back at the camp, Captain Glover tells Desmond that he has done more than any man could have done, that everyone has been inspired by his courage and selflessness, and that they will not launch the next attack without him. In their next attempt to take the ridge, the soldiers are waiting for Desmond to finish his prayer. With reinforcements, they turn the tide of battle. When the Japanese soldiers feign surrender and throw grenades to the Americans, Desmond manages to save the others by deflecting the grenades. He is eventually wounded by the grenade blast, but the battle is won. Desmond descends the cliff, clutching the Bible Dorothy gave him. In the ending scene, the movie shows the footage of Desmond Doss, awarded with the Medal of Honor by President Harry Truman for rescuing 75 soldiers at Hacksaw Ridge. Desmond stayed married to Dorothy until her death in 1991. He died on March 23, 2006, at the age of 87. Leave a like if you enjoy the video, and subscribe for more videos like this.